Thanks for listening to the Dr. Drew Podcast on Podcast One.
Hi, welcome to Metro by T-Mobile.
Hi, my dad is in serious need of an upgrade.
Yeah, my phone's a fossil.
He needs a new phone and a new network stat.
Well, when he switches to Metro, he can get an amazing iPhone 7 with HD Retina display for just $99.99 after ID validation.
Wow, $99.99?
Bye-bye, fossil.
Requires porting of eligible number not currently active on T-Mobile network or active on Metro in past 90 days. With validation of ID. An independent database limit 4 per account/household. 32 gigabyte model only. See store for details and terms and conditions.
Well, you've heard me before. The CBD industry is pretty much the Wild West when it comes to claims and critiques. But while science is still catching up with the industry, there seems to be overwhelmingly positive response to CBD. Luckily, our good friends at Social CBD are raising the industry's standards for testing. They like to say they are test obsessed. Social CBD works closely with their suppliers and multiple third-party labs to ensure you are getting exactly what the package says you are getting. High-quality CBD with 0.0% THC. And Social CBD wants you to be skeptical. That's why they put a QR and batch code on every package. This allows you to check all the test results for the product, not general testing, the specific batch of product you bought. Social CBD just came out with a brand new line of products, broad spectrum CBD gummies that come in 3 flavors, lemon, red raspberry, and peach, mango. And just like their dedication to the highest testing standards, they're using state-of-the-art manufacturing equipment that creates their gummies without cross-contamination. Again, this is a company that really cares when producing their products. To learn more, go to drdrew.com/socialcbd. That is my website, drdrew.com/socialcbd. And for a limited time, you can save 20% at checkout with the code Dr. Drew. That is DRDREW, 20% off.
Hi, welcome to Metro by T-Mobile.
Hi, my dad is in serious need of an upgrade.
Yeah, my phone's a fossil.
He needs a new phone and a new network stat.
Well, when he switches to Metro, he can get an amazing iPhone 7 with HD Retina display for just $99.99 after ID validation.
Wow, $99.99?
Bye-bye, fossil.
Requires porting of eligible number not currently active on T-Mobile network or active on Metro in past 90 days. With validation of ID. An independent database limit 4 per account/household. 32 gigabyte model only. See store for details and terms and conditions.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Dr. Drew Podcast. Keep the winds in the sail with Corolla Pilot Ship. Check out drdrew.tv, too. We do a Sunday about 3 p.m. live Q&A show. Do check that out. We'll send you a blast if you sign up at drdrew.tv. And don't forget me and Adam, and also After Dark. It's all there at drdrew.com. Today I'm welcoming Dan Paris. You can follow him at Dan Paris, spelled P-E-R-E-S-N-Y, on Twitter, at Dan Paris. Also on Instagram, at Dan_Paris. The book is As Needed for Pain, a Memoir of Addiction. It's available now in all the usual places. Dan, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Good to see you. Dan was editor-in-chief at Details magazine for 15 years. And were you addicted during that time?
I was, for
Good
the first
times.
half. For the first half of that time. Yeah.
So you've been all over the world covering W and Details, right?
Yes.
Tell me about your career, and then we'll sort of weave the addiction story into that.
Yeah, no problem. I worked at W Magazine, which is a women's fashion magazine.
Did you launch it?
It was an unusual place for me to land. I did not launch it. It had been running for a number of years before I got there. And I was sent to Paris for them, and I lived and worked in Paris, and then was brought back to edit Details magazine, which I did for 15 years, and it was a blast.
I bet. In New York?
In New York, yes.
And during that time, got strung out on something.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. Unfortunately, a fairly common story in many respects. I
Orthopedic injury.
I had back surgery.
Oh, shocking. And here, take these 60 Vicodin or OxyContin.
Pretty much both. And I was off to the races. I developed just a massive addiction to opiates.
Well, let's kind of break down how it unfolded, because people need to hear it, because it's always the same. First of all, did you have any alcohol history before?
I never really drank alcoholically. I identify as an alcoholic. I've been sober since 2007, and so I don't drink. But no,
so
not
no
really.
antecedent hints that you had the addictive potential.
Not really. There was some pot smoking in college and things like that, but nothing.
Were you into extreme sports or anything? Or?
No,
nothing. No hint. In your family, is it there?
No, it's not.
Ah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Very.
What's your ethnicity?
Jewish.
Oh, that's a very special kind of addiction. That's so Ashkenazi Jew is the only time you see stimulant or opiate addiction without an antecedent history of alcohol or a family history of alcoholism.
Is that true?
Absolutely.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And the opiate addiction can be tougher to treat sometimes in Ashkenazi Jew populations. I don't know why. I've never figured out why, but sometimes they hang in a little more before they're willing to let go.
That was certainly the case with me.
Yeah.
There's no question about it.
Yeah.
It was like lighting a fuse for me. I was really off and running and taking huge amounts too, by the way. But yeah, it starts. It's a fairly common tale, like I said.
So you get your back surgery, you go home, you're taking 6 a day. You're doing fine.
I'm taking it as prescribed and six or so a day, and but maybe one day I just was feeling a little bit more pain, and I
a week later, 2 weeks later.
In my case, it was probably a week later, and so instead of taking 2 every 4 hours, I took 3 every 4 hours, which led to 4, which led to an extraordinary love affair.
Then you fell in love.
I did. There was a brief hiatus. I was sent to Paris to work for W Magazine. France is one of these countries that very wisely really doesn't even have these drugs. And so I couldn't get them over there. When I moved back to New York to take the job at Details, I literally called my doctor within 24 hours of landing back in New York.
So take me still back from the back surgery. So now we're a month out from the back surgery, let's say. How much are you taking then?
I was probably doubling the dosage. Had gone from 2 every 4 hours to 4 every 4 hours.
Were you still having pain?
I was not still having pain. And I really enjoyed the buzz that I got from it, and didn't think much of it, quite frankly. And
did it give you energy?
In time, I felt that it gave me energy. In time, like some people, I'm not a coffee drinker, but like some people, don't talk to me until I have my coffee. It was don't talk to me until these pills kick in. And I really felt that not only did it give me energy, but that I was performing at a higher level with them flowing through my bloodstream. So, listen, it's a pretty profound addiction.
Did you withdraw when you went to Paris?
I not only did I withdraw when I went to Paris, but my stomach was a wreck because it really kind of binds things up. But eventually, I was fine. I was there for 2.5 years, and I was sent with an emergency prescription of 100 extra strength Vicodin.
Fantastic.
Which I gobbled up pretty quickly. But ultimately dealt with whatever sort of detox I needed to deal with while there. And but the seed had been planted. It was there, and I thought about them often the way some might sort of think of a romantic interest that they're away from. It was something that was on my mind, but I managed. And then when I would come back to New York to see family or to have meetings, whatever, I would try to get another big script to take me back.
What'd you tell the doctors?
I would tell the doctors, and I had this down to a science, and I got very good at conning these doctors as addicts tend to do. So I would tell them I was feeling pain. It was radiating down my leg. I was, struggling. I was traveling a lot. It was a real sort of burden for me.
And so when they'd write a script for 30, would you say, doctor, I think I need 100?
Yeah, listen, even before they put pen to paper, I would
specify.
I would put my request in. It wasn't until I moved back from Paris and took the job at Details that things got pretty unmanageable. you know.
What happened?
It went very quickly from 4 every 4 hours to 8 every 4 hours to ultimately about 15 every 4 hours.
So you're doing 100 a day?
It was about 60 a day because I would stop to sleep at some point.
Good luck you didn't lose your hearing.
Say again?
Because that's what happens when you go 60 or more.
It was. Listen. It's a miracle that I'm sitting here talking to you, and I know that. So I was taking them. I couldn't function without them. Getting them was at least initially easier than I anticipated that it would be, which is obviously a huge problem. I've been sober for 12 years, and I'd like to think that it wouldn't be so easy now.
It's better. It's a lot better. But then pain is whatever you say it is.
Well, this is the thing.
Whatever you say.
You know, pain is one of the few things, I'm not a doctor, but pain seems to be one of the few things within the medical realm, if you will, that can't be tested for. Mm-hmm. So it's sort of the honor system and a chart with a smiley face. You know, where are you on this pain chart, 1 to 10? Well, it's really easy to say I'm at 10. You know,
and the doctors were being litigated criminally and civilly for inadequate treatment of pain, not malpractice, criminal.
Yes.
So you could just go, I'm going to sue you for suffering.
Right.
That's it.
Exactly. It's the fifth vital sign, right? Mm-hmm. And so it was very easy for me. And on top of that, I was a professional-looking guy. I was in a suit and tie most of the time. Even if I wasn't wearing a suit to work that day,
you'd have one to go to the doctor.
I would to go to the doctor. I would put on a suit, and not only that, but I would limp into that office like I had just climbed out of a car wreck. Okay.
And then they see you skipping down the street.
Totally. And I would start doing it down the street just in case. It was a very elaborate con, right? Just in case a receptionist or the doctor or some nurse had been out running to get a cup of coffee or whatever they were getting. If they saw me walking normally, it would blow my cover. So I would get out of a cab and I would hobble from the cab into the doctor's office.
Hysterical.
It was. You know,
did anybody ever suspect anything or confirm?
Yes. Not initially, but after a couple of years of seeking treatment, and I was probably seeing 3 or 4 pain specialists regularly.
Think about that. Pain specialists, and they're being conned. It's so ridiculous.
Yes. And so at one point, the receptionist...
They, by the way, denied that happens. They still deny it happens. It's unbelievable.
It is unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. And I'm here to tell you that it does happen.
Oh, I saw it hundreds and thousands of times.
And on top of that it wasn't terribly difficult for me to do it. I would...
Right, because whatever you said went. Someone wouldn't even have you see the doctor. They just have you specify what you want.
There were times when I would just call in and speak to a receptionist and say, hey, I'm traveling to Paris for some business trip.
Yeah.
My script is going to run out while I'm there. Meanwhile, I had run out like 2 weeks ago. I was waiting. I would mark the calendar as to when I could get a refill. But what happened when someone called on is that I was coming more and more frequently, well within the month period, to get a new prescription. Yeah. And so the first couple of times they took what I was saying, and now what I would do,
they make you sign a contract saying,
right.
I won't lie to you.
Exactly.
What the hell?
Yeah, that's nothing.
It's nothing.
But I would be super, I thought that I was like a mastermind, right?
Yeah.
I would have travel itineraries printed out. I would have my assistant call our travel agent and say, look, just can you set up a trip for me going from here to here to here and all European or international travel? And I would take that to the doctor's office and say, look, here it is in black and white. And I would never book the ticket, would never go on the trip. But I would and they were writing for massive amounts. So I was probably seeing a handful of doctors. Each was giving me in the neighborhood of 250 to 340 pills. I had moved on eventually from Vicodin to roxicodone, which I think has a 15 milligram offering, and without the Tylenol. I mean, essentially, those first few years when I was taking all that Vicodin, I was also just ingesting like a small bottle of extra strength Tylenol every day.
Right, and I've seen many hundreds, maybe thousands of people in the same pattern. And there's something about the way opiate addiction gets spooled up that you don't ever